Friday, people. I feel like it always seems to be a Friday when I make a rambling video. Right now, I'm thinking about next week, the New Moon Group on Friday the 13th. And keeping with the theme of spooky season, we are going to focus on shadow work. Shadow work it's really those characteristics about yourself that you do not like, or that you can't admit to yourself, or you're not even aware of. A lot of times we will be much more aware of others' shadows that cause emotional reaction out of us, fear, anger. So ask yourself, like, what pisses you off the most? What upsets you the most? And then dig a little deeper and get real with yourself. And there's probably some components of your shadow involved. If you don't acknowledge the shadow, it just gets darker and affects you more deeply. You have to acknowledge it. That being said, then there's the aspect of what to release about that and what to embrace about that. You can't pretend it doesn't exist, but you can't get focused on the negatives. The negatives have positive, the positives have negatives. It just goes on and on. Carl Jung, Jungian psychology, talked an awful lot about the shadow. Not only of the individual, but of the collective unconscious. For me, first thing that pops into my brain about a more recent example of shadow work with the collective, the pandemic, the vaccine. I mean, first of all, on an individual level, we need to acknowledge our role in all of that. So yeah, I'm talking to you bitches that were wearing your little pins. Trust the science. The scientific method is questioning. That's what science is. So for all of you who really succumbed to that fear, that low vibe emotion, and let your rational brain go out the window, you ignored your own intuition, because you know deep down somewhere in most of you, you had a little spidey sense saying, something doesn't feel right here. You ignored that. You blindly trusted your authorities. Now it's time to acknowledge. Like I said, the shadow's going to just get darker if you don't acknowledge it. As it relates to the collective, well, history will just keep fucking repeating itself, which is not going to happen. Because we all woke the fuck up. Well, not all, but many people woke up. So that's a real positive from that negative. But ask yourself honestly, did you guilt trip people to get a fucking shot? Did you treat people like shit because you blindly trusted your authorities that they were some kind of selfish, evil people who didn't deserve to see their loved ones, who didn't deserve to travel, who didn't deserve anything? It's been years. Most people have kind of seen through all the bullshit. But we have to acknowledge that. In order to be able to properly process and release it. So I encourage you, if you were one of those fuckers, guilt tripping people, looking down on people, there's another eagle. Oh. It would be helpful for your own shadow work to acknowledge that. To say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry I judged you. I did. I believed our authorities. Why wouldn't I? But I should not have treated you like shit. I'm sorry for the way that I treated you. Acknowledge it. Then move on. We can't just move the fuck on and not acknowledge this shit. So, let's integrate the lessons we learned from all of that and going forward. Shadow work for the collective and for ourselves. So, we're going to keep it light. Well, we're going to just let it go how it naturally evolves next Friday. But, I mean, shadow work is a lifelong process, really. It's not like we're going to just have everything dealt with, over and done with in one meeting. But we're going to at least start to acknowledge some of these issues so that we can then properly release what no longer serves us and integrate the positive from the negative, the wisdom that we've learned, the intuition that has strengthened, the compassion that has deepened. All part of the human journey. So, that's what's on my mind right now.